Have you ever felt like your life was just one long, hard day of work? Well, so did a poor man named Sindbad the porter. One scorching hot day in Baghdad, exhausted from carrying a heavy load, he sat down to rest outside a magnificent mansion. From inside, he heard beautiful music and smelled delicious food. Feeling a bit sorry for himself, he recited a poem about the unfairness of life, how some have everything while he had nothing. To his surprise, a servant came out and invited him in. Inside, he met the master of the house, a wealthy, cheerful man who looked surprisingly like him. This was Sindbad the sailor. He smiled and told the poor porter that his own wealth wasn't just luck, it was earned through incredible hardship and adventure. "I will tell you my story," he said, "the story of my 7 voyages. Let's start with the first." And so, our tale begins. After my father passed away, I inherited a large fortune, but being young and foolish, I spent it wastefully. Realizing my mistake before it was too late, I sold what was left of my belongings, bought goods to trade, and joined a group of merchants setting sail from the city of Basra. We sailed from sea to sea, island to island, buying and selling, and our profits grew. It was a wonderful time, full of excitement and new sights. One day we spotted a beautiful green island that looked like a meadow. The captain anchored the ship, and many of us went ashore, eager to stretch our legs. Some merchants started lighting fires to cook food, others were washing clothes, and I was just enjoying the peaceful scenery. Suddenly, the island trembled violently beneath our feet. The captain, still on the ship, started shouting frantically, "Get back on board quickly. That's not an island. It is a gigantic fish that has been dormant for so long that trees have grown on its back. The fires have woken it up." Panic erupted. Everyone scrambled back towards the ship. Some made it, but before I could get there, the giant fish dove deep into the ocean, plunging me and several others into the churning waves. The ship, with the captain desperate to save those he could, sailed away, disappearing over the horizon. I was left alone, clinging for dear life to a large wooden tub that had been brought ashore for washing. I was tossed about by the waves, drifting aimlessly for a whole day and night. I was exhausted, terrified, and sure that my end had come. Just as I was about to give up all hope, a powerful wave threw me against the shore of a real island, high and rugged. I managed to grab onto the branch of a tree hanging over the water and pull myself onto the land, collapsing on the beach, half dead from exhaustion and despair. When I woke up the next morning, my legs were swollen and I could barely move. I crawled around, finding edible herbs and a spring of fresh water. For several days, I slowly regained my strength, exploring the island. One day I saw something moving in the distance. As I got closer, I realized it was a beautiful mare, tethered near the shore. Suddenly a man emerged from a cave underground. He was startled to see me, but when I told him my story, he took pity on me. He explained that he was one of the grooms of King Mirage, the ruler of this island. Every year, they would bring the king's finest mares here to breed with the seahorses. He took me back to his underground dwelling, gave me food and drink, and introduced me to the other grooms. They were all amazed by my tale of surviving the giant fish. When it was time for them to return to the king's city, they took me with them. They presented me to King Mirage, a wise and kind ruler. I recounted my entire adventure, from setting sail in Baghdad to being stranded on the fishy land. The king was astonished. "Your story is so incredible," he said, "that I will have it written in golden letters to be preserved in our kingdom's archives." He treated me with great honor, appointing me as the master of the port and the registrar of all ships that came to the island. It was a good position, and I was grateful. I spent my days overseeing the harbor, and in my conversations with captains and merchants, I would always ask if they knew the way to Baghdad, but no one had ever heard of it. I began to lose hope of ever seeing my home again. Then, one day, a large ship sailed into the harbor, filled with merchants and goods. As I was inspecting its cargo according to my duties, I noticed some bales of merchandise marked with a very familiar name, my own. I asked the captain, "Whose goods are these?" He replied, "They belong to a merchant from Baghdad named Sindbad. He was lost at sea when we landed on what we thought was an island, but turned out to be a giant fish. We presume he drowned. I am now taking his goods to Baghdad to sell them and give the money to his family." My heart leaped with joy. I cried out, "I am that Sindbad. These are my goods." But the captain didn't believe me. He thought I was trying to trick him. "We saw Sindbad drown with our own eyes," he exclaimed. "How can you be him?" Thankfully, another merchant on the ship who had sailed with me from Basra recognized me. He shouted, "Captain, it really is him. I remember him well." After I described some specific details about the goods and the bales, the captain was finally convinced. He was overjoyed to see me alive and returned all my possessions. I selected the most valuable of my goods and presented them as a gift to the generous King Mirage, telling him how I had miraculously been reunited with my fortune. The king was amazed yet again by my incredible luck and gave me many valuable gifts in return. I then exchanged some of my goods for merchandise native to the island and boarded that very same ship. We set sail, and this time the winds were favorable. After a long but successful journey, we finally arrived back in Basra, and from there I made my way home to Baghdad. I returned with a fortune far greater than what I had started with. I bought land, built a new, grand house, and gathered friends and family around me, determined to live a life of comfort and forget the terrors I had faced at sea. And that, my friend, was the end of my first voyage. But it was far from the end of my adventures. Sindbad the sailor then ordered his servants to give Sindbad the porter 100 pieces of gold and invited him to return the next day to hear the tale of his second voyage. The porter went home, stunned by his good fortune and eagerly awaiting the next day's story. I hope you enjoyed the tale of Sindbad's first voyage. It's a story of ups and downs, of losing everything and gaining it all back through a little bit of luck and a lot of perseverance. If you want to hear about Sindbad's second incredible adventure, make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.